When we think of magic, we think of a few things. Magic spells, summoning rituals, fortune-telling, potions class. In this episode, we want to discuss modern-day magic.
Over and over like that. You take the ball, vanish it, and it appears... Well, you'd have to do some magic sometime, and then it appears magically underneath the cup. Now, it just keeps going like this over and over again.
No, not that. No. We want to talk about real magic. The stuff of legends, the spell casting, the potions, the magic of old. Where did it ever go? Did people just wise up? No one believes that anymore, and if they did, they'd be a pariah, right? Welcome to the Mind the Gap podcast, bridging the gap between your minds and everything else. I'm Mackie Drew.
And I'm Keegan Gwydolin.
And our show today is called Bippity-Boppity BS. And this is our show about modern day magic, what magic became. So, Keegan, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Well, I'd like to take us, at least through my segments, we're going to go through a walk through Hogwarts. From the Harry Potter franchise. And first class on the schedule is spellcasting with, I don't know, the short professor will say. And the spellcasting that exists nowadays, I would identify as Reiki. Reiki is a practice where you basically wave your hands over top of someone and you can heal their body.
Yes, and often has a lot of magic words associated with it.
Reiki was developed in 1922, which is actually fairly recently.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, by a Japanese Buddhist named Miao Utsui, while he was performing a 21-day Buddhist training course. And this course required him to do meditation and fasting, chanting, and some prayer. And he claimed that through mystical revelation, he gained the knowledge and spiritual power to use Reiki, which apparently entered him through his crown chakra, which is found on your head, on your forehead.
So, can you go over real quick what a chakra is?
Basically, it's a spinning vortex of energy, as far as I can tell.
It's like magic power that spins around. It's kind of like a consideration of a life force that you would see in any kind of fantasy realm,
right?
Any kind of fantasy media. Books,
but it's something that exists as part of your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not really.
Right. Later that year, Utsui opened Utsui's Spiritual Energy Therapy Method Society, which was basically his version of a hospital to treat people on a large scale with Reiki.
And he opened this in Japan.
Yes, he did. He died on March 9th, 1926, but not before teaching Reiki to over 2,000 people. Once Utsui trained several dedicated followers, Reiki began to spread, first throughout Japan, but quickly to Hawaii, because it's so close.
Well, I guess.
Well, relatively. One so-called Reiki master traveled throughout the U.S., practicing Reiki and teaching it to others. She stressed the importance of charging money for Reiki treatments, and teaching it would cost $10,000 to be trained as a Reiki master. This one Reiki master who was traveling around was also single-handedly responsible for essentially all Reiki taught outside Japan. Really, she is the one who made it the modern-day phenomenon that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry?
Do you know the TV celebrity Dr. Oz?
Yes.
He actually he's made claims. I actually he had a documentary made about his life before he became a TV personality, because he was famous for using alternative medicine in conventional practices.
So he was always a quack.
Quite so. I met the director of that documentary not too long ago, and she spoke to me
Where
about
do you
how.
meet these people?
Oh, just around, I was in the mall. All right, so and she was talking about how he used Reiki on bags of blood before it was put into somebody, like charming the blood before it went into somebody, and somehow that got him some sort of better results. He's a cardiovascular surgeon, if you didn't know. Yeah, so that was at least a portion of the popularity, and he's popularized Reiki a lot on his show as well since then.
Anyways, so Reiki has 5 principles. They are: 1, do not be angry; 2, do not worry; 3, be grateful; 4, work with diligence; and 5, be kind to people. I don't really know how Reiki comes through that.
I don't quite get that either. Those sound like good ideas, though. Generally,
Yeah,
I
generally.
can't think of too many objections to that.
Yeah. So, if you are casting these Reiki spells, you might make some of the following claims. Practitioners of Reiki claim that anyone can gain access to the inexhaustible healing effects of Reiki by means of an attunement process, where someone does something to your body and it makes you able to have the Reiki flow through you.
Yeah, it's like an unlocking mechanism for your chakra. I've actually seen them happen. I was at the mall. No, I'm just kidding. No, I saw a video online of somebody doing a Reiki attunement, and yeah, it's basically like drawing certain symbols in the air, speaking magic words, and hoping that it does stuff.
Yeah.
So it usually takes anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to do something like that.
Right. The energy is claimed to flow through the practitioner's hands whenever the hands are placed on or held near a potential recipient. But this energy is also intelligent, so the Reiki knows where to heal even if a practitioner's hands are nowhere near the area of affliction.
Huh, that's quite an out.
Yeah. So if you have a brain tumor and I'm Reikiing your foot, it's totally going to work anyways.
Ah, well. And I'm sure they've proven this then.
Oh, not at all. Now for the science. So, a 2008 systematic review showed no evidence for Reiki's efficiency. And moreover, the studies referenced in that systematic review were not blinded or placebo controlled. Yeah.
And it still didn't find an
effect. You would expect them, exactly, you'd expect them to reveal a placebo effect. Right? People knew they were being treated with Reiki, so they should report feeling better. But they didn't.
That's even worse, because normally these alternative medicines at least evoke some kind of strong placebo effect, which usually gives at least a little bit of credence to the claims, at least a little bit of believability people can have. But maybe that's why it's not as popular as something like chiropractic or acupuncture, because it doesn't even have a placebo effect. It's crazy.
It's very strange. In addition, a 2009 review in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, so this is their own people, found no evidence.
Wow. I wonder if there's some sort of
politics or drama in the...
is there inter alt med conflicts we don't know about? What we need to look into this world. We need a web of these relationships. All right. Now, see, I got two kinds of classes here. First off, I wanted to talk about broadly how theism relates to magic and how normal Christianity and many other monotheistic religions of the times, any Abrahamic religions relate to the existence of mythical creatures. Now,
mythical creatures.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's
So this is care of magical creatures or something like
we'll
that?
call it that, sure.
All right.
So there's some pretty crazy stuff in the Bible, but there's actually a shocking amount of mythical creatures in the Bible. And I'm just going to go over a few of them, the strongest ones, but there is a plethora of possible candidates for mythical creatures here. For instance, there are dragons in Revelations 12:3. So here's the quote. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon, and 7 heads, with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. Now, see, a lot of people think Revelations, especially, first off, it doesn't really apply to non-Christian beliefs, because, for instance, like Islam does not take the New Testament as directly as the Christianity does, and neither does the Jewish belief system. But there are actually plenty of examples of dragons throughout the Bible. There's actually 71 different references to dragons throughout the Old and New Testament. So it's.
Did you go through and count them?
I took somebody else's word for it. I saw them all all displayed, but yeah, 71 at least. But that was, I thought, the most clear one. A great red dragon.
Yeah.
There's also several claims of a leviathan or a kraken, and that's from Psalms 74:13-14. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou brackest the heads of the dragons in the waters.
I think it's breakest.
Breakest?
As in you breaking them.
I suppose. Thou breakest the heads of the leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat of the people inhabiting the wilderness. So, there's a leviathan as well, or a kraken. It also mentions the dragon of the water, which I guess you could consider the leviathan taxonomically similar to the dragon.
We need to make a tree of life for all these mythical beasts.
There are also references to unicorns. Very Harry Potter. In Job 39:9-12, in the King James Version at least, will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him because his strength is great, or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? So, unicorn right there. Very, very, very clear. Now, those are just 3 prime examples of the classical, mythical critters, but there's plenty of other ones, angels, demons, genies. But speaking of angels...
Boggarts.
Sorry?
Boggarts.
There's golems in the Bible. There's not golem.
They're not golems. They're golems.
But golems. Yeah. But there was actually a poll in August, and it turns out that in the August of this year, that turns out that 8 in 10 Americans believe in angels. So
that doesn't surprise me at all.
It did surprise me, and then I thought about it. I guess if you're Christian, which about 8 in 10 Americans are, you kind of have to believe in angels. Isn't that like a prerequisite?
But I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, like they just, when something good happens, like they barely miss getting hit by a bus, they're like, oh, I guess my guardian angel was helping me. Like, they don't seriously believe it. They just
Okay, yeah. They aren't thinking of the physical ramifications of what they're saying. They're just
No. They're just like, oh yeah, my guardian angel is there watching.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one. That's fair. I would love to see the exact question asked, and I could have investigated had I thought of that objection. But what can you do? But yeah, okay. So that was just a little bit of the mythical creatures, but I kind of want to talk about the how prayer relates to spellcasting as well. I wouldn't consider it an analog at all. I would think of it more like exactly spellcasting. It's exactly what they would do in the past with regards to trying to cast a spell. They'd usually speak to a god and they'd give some sort of sacrifice. Usually, prayer is that same thing, except maybe minus the sacrifice.
So this is, we'll say, conjuring class.
I suppose. I'd say it's we'll call it charms and curses, if that's a thing. But yeah, so they actually there's been lots of investigations to see how effective prayer actually is at performing, so to speak. In 1872, the Victorian scientist Francis Galton made the first statistical analysis of prayer, and he was hypothesizing, just mostly as satire, that if prayer was effective, members of the British royal family would live longer than average because people were constantly praying for them.
God save the Queen.
Exactly. It's like part of their prayer. So given, the thousands that pray every Sunday for the Queen, they would definitely live longer. And he also hypothesized that if people prayed over randomized plots of land for the plants to grow faster, then there would be faster growth if people were doing it for the prayed for ones versus the non prayed for ones. And he could find no correlation in either case. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, this is the experiment. It's called the Great Prayer Experiment. It was done by the Templeton Foundation, which is a very Christian organization. Their idea is to try to mix religion and science in a good way, in that we shouldn't believe anything unless science also backs it up.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So they're very Christian, but they're also scientific, which is nice. They aren't for obfuscating data. They came out with a Great Prayer Experiment, which used 1,802 coronary artery bypass surgery patients at 6 hospitals. They'd used proper double-blind protocols, and they were randomized into 3 groups. There was the experimental group, the control group, and then there was the third group, which was the idea was the experimental group and the control group were both told that they may or may not be prayed for, but the experimental group was prayed for. And the idea was that they would be praying for better recovery, and they were
So they were prayed for, and they were also told that they were.
No, the experimental group and the control group, those 2 first groups were told they may or may not be.
Right,
and then the third group was told that they were being prayed for, and then they were prayed for.
Okay.
So you'd have, and it turns out that there was actually a pretty good data from this. There was actually these are data. This is data about major complications and 30-day mortality afterwards.
Okay.
So this is the percentage of people who had major complications or were dead after 30 days.
Right.
52% of the people who received prayer had complications or were dead. 51% who did not receive it were the case. So they actually did better slightly. And 59% of patients who knew they were receiving prayer died or had serious complications. So it actually turns out not just that there was no statistical difference between the people who were prayed for and the people who did not receive it. There wasn't a correlation there. There was nothing strong. It was just coincidence that it was 52 and 51, but the 59% was definitely statistically significant. And it's the thought that Richard Dawkins had, at least in his book The God Delusion, was that that it was, and the researchers also shared this sentiment, was that they had some sort of stage fright. That if they didn't do well, then they were against God, essentially. So I think that was probably the idea of what was actually happening. Why would they, if they knew they were being prayed for, they would do worse. So in fact, if you're telling a relative that you're praying for them, you're probably doing them a disservice.
Okay, welcome to potions class. And what I'll be talking about in potions class is, of course, homeopathy. This was created in 1796 by Samuel Hahnemann. While translating a medical text, he became skeptical of a claimed treatment for malaria, which this person listed as, I think it's pronounced chincona, or cincona?
I think you're right about the first one, chincona. Sounds about right to me.
Which is actually, the active ingredient in that plant is quinine. So, which is an actual treatment for malaria. That's where the gin and tonic came from.
Yes.
British generals, or British soldiers who were exposed to malaria, they were told to drink tonic water because it has quinine in it. And to make it more palatable, they added gin.
It's like reverse mixing.
Which is,
although, you know what? I can get with that because I hate tonic water.
Yeah, it's awful. So anyway, Samuel Hahnemann was skeptical of this treatment, so he decided to eat some and see what would happen. When he did, he experienced fever, shivering, and joint pain, which are all symptoms of malaria. And so from here, he figured that all effective drugs produce symptoms in healthy people to those that are similar to those they treat in sick people. Interestingly, several people tried to repeat his experience eating the quinine, and none of them could get that fever, shivering, and joint pain reaction.
Maybe poison oak or something.
Or something. He was very wary of giving large doses of drugs, so he devised a method of dilution which supposedly preserved the substance's therapeutic properties while removing its harmful effects. So he was worried about, like, overdosing people, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided that he was going to dilute it to make it safe, but then he added in this claim that this dilution enhances the spirit-like medicinal powers of the crude substance.
I see. So the less, the more.
Basically. He also, interestingly, coined the term allopathic medicine as a pejorative term for Western medicine or biomedicine, modern medicine, all of those things, right?
Mm-hmm. Like a way of polarizing it. So like, oh yes, it's me versus the world.
Yeah.
Where really, Western medicine is a huge mix of so many different modalities.
Yeah, it's really the best thing to call it, I would say, is evidence-based medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's make a potion. First, you're going to get your substance. You want to choose a substance that elicits the same symptoms that you want to treat in a patient.
So
right?
you're poisoned, you get some arsenic, right?
Right. All right. So let's go with that. We'll make an anti-poison, an antidote.
Yes.
So we got our arsenic. Now we're going to dilute our substance in either alcohol or distilled water. And this is a process called dynamization or potentization. And once we've done that, we're going to dilute it probably 1 in 100. And then we're going to do what's called succession. So we're going to shake it by striking it hard 10 times against an elastic body. When Hahnemann first did this, he got a board with that was covered in leather and stuffed with horsehair. And that provided a sort of elastic surface to strike against.
Okay.
Then, if you want to know how much to dilute it, so you're going to repeat this process a couple times. The most popular dilution is 30C. And the C refers to the centesimal scale that Hahnemann invented, which consists of 30 dilutions of 1 in 100.
Jesus.
Yes. So there are no molecules of the original substance in this. The highest C that you can have with there still being like a molecule in it is 12C.
Wow. So you're going above and beyond to make sure that that water is just water?
Or alcohol.
Or alcohol, fair enough.
Yeah. There is controversy, however. Some homeopaths have considered other delivery systems and substances. Imponderables are a subclass where they don't originate from a substance. So it's not like you're diluting something. Rather, their origin is electromagnetic energy that has somehow been captured by alcohol or lactose. So X-rays or sunlight, I guess if you leave alcohol or lactose in them, you're going to create a homeopathic remedy.
Okay.
There's also paper remedies, which are literally pieces of paper, and you write a substance and a dilution on the paper and pin it to the patient's clothes or put it in their pockets or put it under a glass of water.
That was definitely invented with somebody out of stock of something. Like, I guess I'm out of arsenic number 12. Here's a prescription, and then they just tag it to their clothes.
It's literally just a prescription. But, classical homeopaths reject these methods because they say they're speculative and verging upon magic and superstition.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In terms of evidence, James Randi and a group of demonstrators involved in what was called the 1023 campaign showed very dramatically the lack of active ingredients in homeopathic products by taking large overdoses of these homeopathic products in public altogether. And none of the hundreds of demonstrators in the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the US were either injured or cured.
Yeah, so this is them taking a bottle of, sleeping pills. What with an effective medicine would kill you because dose matters. So yeah, if you really want potions class, take chemistry. All right, welcome to the game section. So, Keegan, last week in the 5-minute challenge, I challenged you to learn as much as you could in 5 minutes about the atomic clock. What do you have?
All right, this is actually a really cool clock.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of information on it, so I feel like I just sort of like tried to get the most interesting things.
That's what we got to do here.
Yeah. So it's the most accurate time and frequency standard known.
Mm-hmm.
It uses microwave signals that electrons emit when they change energy levels. So it's not actually the decay of a radioactive substance.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the movement of electrons along the energy level.
Very common mistake, yes.
Yeah. The SI unit of 1 second is now standardized based on the atomic clock. So it's 9,192,631,770 cycles of radiation corresponding to the transition between two levels of the cesium-133 atom.
Yes, so that is 1 second. Very simple, right? Just make sure to remember that number.
Yeah. 91926317770. All right.
Not a problem.
Yeah. The National Physics Lab cesium clock will not lose or gain a second in over 138 million years. This makes it very useful for stuff like GPS and a myriad of other similar applications that are based on time.
Now, not just that, but GPS requires time. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So it's not just important, it's vital.
Yes, it's vital. There's also these interesting little doodads called quantum clocks, which are based on beryllium and aluminum ions. And these will not gain or lose a second in over 1 billion years.
Jeez.
Or as I wrote in my notes, over 1 billion years.
Billions and billions.
Billions and billions of years.
A second.
Yes.
A unit of billions
right.
and billions.
So, unfortunately, we are phasing out the 5-minute challenge starting now, so I'm not going to administer a new challenge this week.
We have a good reason, and we'll explain in full next week. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
Yes.
All right.
So, now I've got a super exciting quiz for you, Mackie.
All right, tell me.
My quiz this week is back to potions class. So,
Okay.
the concept of homeopathic remedies is similar to the wives' tale, that you can cure things with, quote, the hair of the dog that bit you. Right?
Ah, yes.
So, for instance, if you have a hangover, the hair of the dog is alcohol, so you should take another shot in the morning. That's the wives' tale.
Yeah, the problem was the alcohol, so you take a little bit more and you're fine. Which
Yeah.
kind of works in that you get drunk again, and then you got to deal with it again later,
So, in that spirit, my quiz is called the hair of the dog.
Okay.
And
Good name.
I'll give you a word that is either the name of a homeopathic remedy or the name of a subspecies in the dog family. So it'll be Canis lupus something.
All right, that's fun.
You tell me which is which, and bonus points for telling me what the remedy treats or the common name for the dog.
Okay. Would I know the common name for the dog?
Maybe.
Okay.
So, let me just figure out pronunciations here.
Oh, God. I didn't study.
Oscillococcinium.
Isn't that homeopathic? Isn't that like the normal cold remedy?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
It's the homeopathic. It's the most common remedy sold.
Yeah.
It's used for cold and flu, and it's made from duck liver.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's also very, very cheap to make.
Well, yeah.
Because it's mostly water.
And in fact, it's often a lot of homeopathic remedies. They take a drop of the homeopathic remedy and they put it into a sugar pill, and then that's the remedy.
They actually just drip it on top of it.
Oh, they didn't even put it into it?
No, they just drip it on top.
Oh, Jesus.
So they've got their sugar pill, and they just put a drop of water on top. Yeah. All right. Ruta.
Ruta. Okay, now I think this is a misdirect because root sounds like naturopathic. So I'm going to say Ruta is a dog, and I'm going to say that Ruta is I don't know the species.
Okay.
Is it
Ruta is homeopathic.
Okay, it wasn't a misdirect.
And it's used to treat ligament trauma or sprain and tendon or fibrous tissue conditions.
Does it work?
No.
Oh, of course not. What is he gonna use? A cast? What? What's the plan here?
All right, number 3. Beathucus.
Beathucus.
Yeah.
Us. US is like the thing to end a specific epithet with. I think that's a dog.
Okay.
Wait, Beathuta. Okay, it's gotta be. I don't know too many dog species. Well, couldn't this be a cat quiz? I'm gonna
Remember,
say.
it's a subspecies. So
Oh.
Canis lupus domesticus is your common dog.
Oh, are we
and that
just
includes
we're
all
allowing
the breeds of dog.
I didn't know it was a subspecies. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not a breed of dog. It's a subspecies of the dog family.
Chihuahua.
That's a breed.
Shut up. Okay, it's a dog. That's all I know. Go on.
Beathucus is a dog. It is
Yes.
also known as the Newfoundland wolf.
Newfoundland wolf. See, I wouldn't know that. I don't know enough about dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of wolves and foxes and stuff. In fact, let me see. They're all wolves. All the dogs in this quiz are wolves.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I will keep that in mind.
number 4, sepia.
Sepia. Isn't that a filter in Photoshop?
It is a filter in Photoshop.
Okay.
Double points. No.
Okay. I'm gonna say that it's brown filter, so I'm gonna say it treats diarrhea. Is that okay? Is that
it is. So you're saying it's homeopathic, right? It is homeopathic.
Yes.
It's made of cuttlefish ink.
Oh, so I got kind of the black, right?
Yeah, and it's used to treat, quote, many female problems, end quote.
Just generally.
Yeah.
A cheating man? What is this? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Very non-medical, non-scientific, and vague.
All right.
So you got that as the homeopathic.
All right. How am I doing?
You have got 2 correct, and then the first one you got ×2 because you got the cold and flu.
Is that a multiplier on my total score or just that one question?
Just that one question.
Damn. All right.
Yeah. Chonko.
Chonko. All right. Now, my first reaction, should I have not seen the rest of the quiz, I would say that would definitely be a homeopathic remedy because it kind of has like the same words as like chi and chakra, like chong. You know what I'm saying? Kind of fits in that whole alternative medicine thing. But I kind of feel like you haven't had enough dogs yet, so I'm going to play the meta game here, and I'm going to say that it's a dog and it is a type of fox native to South America.
Nope.
All right.
I would have given that to you if you were close. It is a dog. It's the Tibetan wolf.
Well, not quite right then.
Yeah. Remember, they're all wolves. All the dogs are wolves.
Oh, I thought you said it was foxes and wolves.
No,
Oh.
just wolves.
Okay.
All right. Floridanus.
Us, U.S. Okay. Sticking with my strategy here. The U.S. is certainly a dog, and it's clearly a wolf because you just said so. And there's high fluoride content in a lot of Europe, so I'm going to say it's a wolf native to Europe, UK.
You should have gone less complicated. It is a dog.
Okay.
It's the Florida black wolf.
Ah! So it's not referring to the fluoride content of water? That's absurd.
No. Interestingly, this wolf is extinct, actually.
Oh.
Went extinct in 1908.
Well, that's
so sad times.
Yeah.
Drosera.
Sarah. Okay, well, we've had 2 dogs in a row, so I'm going to play the meta game and say that you probably are going to have a medicine here. I think... Sorry, what's the name again?
Drosera.
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 Okay, Drosera is clearly a remedy for well-being. No, let's see. Drosera. How about it is a remedy for cough?
Oh, very good.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
All right.
It's homeopathic. It's made of sundew, and it treats cough.
Nice. Not really, though. It doesn't really treat cough. It claims to.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's good.
How did you guess that?
I'm proud of myself. I don't know. I thought cough drop and it's got the DR sound. I don't know. Maybe that's just totally nonsense, but.
All right, Ignatia.
Ignatia? Oh, man. Ignatia. That sounds really, really Latinized. That sounds like a dog. Ignatia.
Okay.
I'm going to say that it ignite, like the volcano a few years ago in Iceland. It's an Icelandic wolf.
It is a homeopathic product.
Dang.
It's
Are you gonna be all right?
It's a homeopathic product made from the Saint Ignatius bean.
I knew
and
it.
It's used to treat recovery from grief.
Weird. They treat emotional problems too?
Apparently.
All right.
And finally, last one, Occidentalis.
Occidentalis. That's got to be a homeopathic remedy, and I'm going to say it's an anti-cancer thing because people like to jump on the antioxidant bend.
Well, would it help if I spelled it Occidentalis?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Then
so
it's
not
then it's a dog
OCC.
that's native to South America.
Seriously, you're going with South America again?
Yeah.
All right. It is a dog.
Uh-huh.
So I'll give you those points. It is the Mackenzie Valley dog.
Oh.
Mackenzie Valley wolf.
Yeah.
So I figured Mackenzie drew.
I like that name.
Let me do some quick research here to find out where the Mackenzie Valley is, because maybe I can...
Maybe you can give me some points.
No, Northwest Territories.
Oh, basically though, right? Like, I mean, South is just arbitrary. Right?
All right, so you got... Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. You got 9 points.
Out of what? 8?
Out of a possible 18.
Oh, God, I passed that at least. I think you passed last one. I think we'll be okay here.
Yeah. So, that's my quiz, Hair of the Dog.
Great, all right.
I guess that's our show. Email comments and questions to mindthegaphosts@gmail.com. Our next show will be called I've Got a Bad Feeling About This, and that's our show about intuition. Subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, or the podcast feed of your choice, and be sure to like or rate us depending on your platform. Thanks for listening.